Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Super excited to be with John Lai, President and CEO of PetVivo Holdings. And you're in for a treat. We're going to get a unique look into the medical device space, medical technology space as it relates to pets. So, John, super excited to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Well, good. Well, maybe we'll cut right to it. Maybe you just kind of share us a little bit about your background, your origin story, and similarly the origin story for PetVivo.
Sure. So I have always focused on companies that had unique technologies or what I consider niche technologies that would become the standard of care or the usage into the future. So I've been involved with quite a few early stage companies, and some of them worked out and some of them didn't. I was probably the first guy to invest in paying at the pump with a credit card.
Oh, interesting.
Technology was great, everything, but the cost to the gas station owner was very prohibitive because it was phone lines. It was $100 per phone line per month, and there was like 2 to 4 phone lines per pump. So
Oh
that
boy.
became quite tough. So I learned a lot from that one. But fortunately, my first company I got involved with was wireless radio modems that became the future, and that company got bought out at 10 times what we put money in, and it happened within a year, which is unusual because my time horizon is 3 to 5 years generally. You
Okay.
know, so other technologies were rapid prototyping, using 3D imaging, also downloading a software on the internet. So we were early into those companies and did extremely well. What drew me to PetVivo was the fact they had 21 patents. The science was developed at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota for humans.
Okay.
And the area was for regenerative medicine, drug delivery, and multiple applications. So there was 15 products in the pipeline. That was quite impressive. Their law firm, the patent council called me and says, we have 21 patents. And I wrote the first drug-eluting stent patents for Johnson and Johnson. I do a lot of the mergers and acquisitions for Medtronic, and these patents
Okay.
are phenomenal. So I said, well, I got to take a look at this. So the company was funded by NIH and the Department of Defense, the National Institute of Health. So the first 8 million that came into the company was for all their clinical work, and obviously they were more interested in regenerative medicine, wound care, and so on. And what they did, 145 human trial using the particles that would mimic cartilage and tissue. So it's an extracellular matrix that was based off of collagen and elastin, which is the building blocks of human articulating tissue. So they injected it into the facial fold as a dermal filler. And they went head to head with the gold standard product, which is Restylane. It's like a 1.7 billion a year market in the US. And their trials did quite well. 70% of the dermatologists preferred their product,
Huh.
and almost 80% of the consumers preferred their product because it felt more natural and it lasted longer. So I said, well, I have no interest because those companies spend $200-300 million in marketing. It doesn't matter if you have a better product, they're going to
Right.
kill you in terms of more salespeople and marketing. So they came back to me like 90 days later. What is it going to take to get you in to help commercialize? And I said, well, since you already got the FDA on your side saying that these particles are a human medical device, that means you don't have to do phase 3. You can do 510K or PMA. Let us take it to the animal side of the FDA. Because if you have that designation, you don't have to do any studies. You can go right into sales and marketing
Okay.
because the animal side honors the human side designation because you got to do so much more work on the human side to get it. Okay.
Sure. Sure.
So I thought that was a really good idea. So I agreed to come in. And then lo and behold, you go to the vets and they says, well, where's your clinical evidence? You
Huh.
don't have any. You know it works. So our first product is called, and our flagship product is called Spring with Osteo Cushion Technology. So the particles mimic cartilage and tissue. But beyond that, once it's injected into the joint, it actually starts to strengthen the synovium, which holds the synovial fluids in the joint, allows for it to provide cushion and lubrication. And we found over time the joint actually improves beyond the initial injection,
Huh.
which is unique because most injections or other types of therapy are very short term, 30, 45 days. Our product lasts about a year, which
Okay.
is really good for the consumer because it's focusing on joint health and proper joint function. So the product is used for osteoarthritis, lameness, and rehab for dogs, horses, and cats. So in the rehab side, we find that a doc doing surgery, after the surgery, injecting it, will reduce the rehab time probably in half, which can be significant because sometimes you got to kettle the dog for like 100 days or
Sure.
120. And if you can bring them back to rehab and full function in 45 days, that's a big win, you know.
Yeah.
And also we found that if you inject the contralateral joint after surgery, it prevents the joint from failing because 80% of the joint that didn't have the surgery will fail because of the added load from the surgery. So we found a lot of uniqueness and benefit that are longer term oriented. We're going after the root cause of the problem. You know, osteoarthritis is bone on bone. Particles goes in and mimics initially, then it goes and strengthens the outer synovium, while everyone else is just focused on the symptoms of pain or inflammation. So NSAIDs takes down inflammation. Inflammation is what causes pain and damages the cartilage. Okay. So our is a longer term solution. If we go in and create proper joint function and create the loop, allow the lubrication to work properly, there's no bone on bone contact. Therefore, you're not going to have inflammation and pain to begin with.
Sure.
But it works very well as what we call a multimodal approach, you know, injecting it with other products. We see a lot of vets using it with PRP, platelet rich therapy type treatments, plasma.
Okay.
So we went out and we were able to build a really good management team and team that has a proven track record. So the first thing we did was our production facility was designed and it meets human medical device standards. You
Huh.
don't have to do that for the pet industry, but we did. So when people buy our product, they know it's totally safe. It's gone through the FDA process certification. And then we brought in our head of production or VP of production is Josh Wilhelm. He's got years of experience in dealing in the human side of biomaterial manufacturing and filling millions of syringes. It's because we put the particles into a syringe, we sell it to the veterinary doctor does the injection.
Okay.
So he was at Medtronic and Schultz Diabetes, two very large human organizations, and he basically took his team over to join us. So
Wow.
now we have the ability to scale to probably 500,000 syringes in our current facility, which would mean about 125 million top line revenue with a gross profit margin right around 85%.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so well, it's like pharmaceuticals. The cost is in getting there.
Right.
Once you get
Right.
there, the
Right.
margins are good. so so we got that set up. And then we positioned next was marketing. So April Boyce came from Procter and Gamble, Colgate, really good consumer branding, but she also came from the pet side with MWI Animal Health and so on.
Hmm.
So we got that in place. Our VP of sales came from Lintville Hills, you know, the Hills Nutritional Food Group guys from
Sure.
the dogs and cats. So he really understands the osteoarthritis market because his last product was nutritional supplements to reduce osteoarthritis issues.
Huh.
So that fit right in beautifully. And then if you look at the news releases, we've been hiring some of the top people from the large companies like Covetrus. They're the number one distributor in the world. They do about 5 billion a year. We got two of their regional VPs to jump ship and join us, and they actually believe in what we're doing, so they took less cash and took an equity stake in the company.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're pulling people from ArthMed, and then we were able to establish distribution through the number one and two players in the world, MWI Animal Health, which is part of AmerisourceBergen. They do 5 billion just in the United States. And the second largest player is Covetrus, and they do about 4.5 billion in the United States for animal distribution. Probably 98% of all the vet clinics are covered by those two companies. So the advantage of having them
Huh.
is they actually provide financing to the vets because
Okay.
they're on a 45-day, and then sometimes they have a promotional period where they want to boost sales for the quarter. They'll give the vets 6 months free financing. So if they
No.
order from them, they get that. They order
Okay.
from us, they got to pay right away, right
Okay.
up front. So our sales are really starting to take off. And then we recognized we had to do multiple studies to prove what we saw, because we injected over 10,000 animals and we see the results, but vets are not going to believe you because it's considered anecdotal until you have the studies. So two of the canine studies came out probably within the last 9 months, which were pilot studies that were very pivotal. One was on CCL tears, which
Hmm.
on a human would be the ACL being torn. So they injected Spring with our particles, the Spring with Osteo cushion technology. And after 84 days, about 48% of the dogs didn't need to have surgery, but the rehab brought them back, but brought them
Really?
back to a functioning level, because sometimes you can bring them back, but they tear right away, so they brought them back where they were functioning. But the bigger one came in March of this year, was done by Ethos, which is the largest private research group for animals and one of the larger ones for humans. They do human clinicals too. And they took dogs with hip dysplasia on a scale 1 to 5, 5 being that they have to put the dogs down. We only did fives.
Huh.
And 78% of the dogs fell from a level 5 to a level 2, which means a mild case of hip dysplasia. The balance fell to a level 3. That means a moderate case of hip dysplasia.
That's
So all these dogs,
incredible.
yeah, gain mobility. So the gold standard use they use Rumidol, which is an NSAID. It usually improves mobility by 30% and reduce pain by 30%. If you extrapolate and calculate our numbers out, ours is about a 90% improvement in pain and a 90% improvement in mobility. So
Hmm.
that really put us on the map from the standpoint of people started to pay attention. The vets started to pay attention. And then we had Spencer Brightup. He retired from MWI. He was the executive VP of sales that built him pretty much to $5 billion a year in sales. When he
Okay.
retired, he was also the chair of the Animal Health Corridor, which is the top 25 animal health companies in the world. And he decided to join our board of directors versus the other one. So that was a big endorsement.
Yes.
Yeah. And then Mike Eldridge, he was CEO of Decra Pharmaceuticals. So he took that from zero sales to 600 million a year and sold it for 6 billion. So
Wow.
after he sold it, got a call and said, I really believe in your product. So he joined our board of directors.
Huh.
So we got two of the top people in the industry as relations to sales for animal health that's on our board of directors. So you can see how we've really built a strong team together. Oh, by
Yes.
the way, the partner at Ferrex and Byron that does speeches throughout the United States, I told him, if I'm coming in, you're coming in with me. So he's my general counsel, John
Oh,
Dolan.
fantastic.
I drag everybody in with me. If I'm coming in, everybody's on the
That's
same ship.
right.
So yeah, so you can see how we're excited. And at our last webinar that we did, we had 440 vets on the webinar. These things usually get about 30, okay?
Yeah.
And
Jeez.
320 of them stayed an hour extra to ask over 90 questions, because there was a lot of uniqueness to our product that they didn't learn in vet school. So the time for adoption takes long, but when you get them and when you hit a certain critical mass, the word spreads on its own, because they're all graduates of a certain vet school.
For sure.
And within the last 60 days, we had 7 universities inquire, veterinary schools inquire about the product, and they're going to start using the product. So, UC Davis is a user, University of Minnesota. I think we just picked up North Dakota and University of Florida. So there's a lot of universities that we're talking. I shouldn't have been probably naming them, but they are starting to use them.
Well, that's incredible. Congratulations. That's
Thank
absolutely
you.
phenomenal momentum and success.
Yeah. Oh, and we're into over 800 clinics that have used our product, and we're in all 50 states. We have 3 in Hawaii and 3 in Alaska. I mean,
Really?
yeah, I couldn't understand that one. It took a long time to get one in Vermont because we just kept having 49 states. And I said, how come we don't have one in Vermont? We finally got one in Vermont.
Oh, that's great. So what's been, I mean, you obviously touched on a bunch of things, but what's been the secret to just attracting such, I mean, high performance leaders to PetVivo?
The product works extremely well.
Mm,
That technology is the key because on our Instagram account, we actually had a local lady tag her dog onto our Instagram spring on the Spring Health site, which was quite touching. So she had a dog. They spent money on 2 surgeries. They tried everything for a year, and the dog just kept getting worse and worse. So the rehab vet says, I never tried this product called Spring, but we might as well try it. Well, the rehab vet goes, I never tried. I'm not comfortable injecting it. So she did her own research and went to a clinic that specialized in cats, which blew my mind. But they used our product. Okay. So
okay.
so
Okay.
a bet's a bet. He goes, oh yeah, I'll do the dog. And then all of a sudden she posted videos of 3 days, 1 week, and 10 days after. The dog looked like it never had an issue. And
Really?
it's pretty amazing. Go to our springhealth.com site,
Yeah.
or actually it's Spring Health on the Instagram. I don't use Instagram, so
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but it's on there. But I think it's being put onto our website. So it was a really touching story. And the lady says, yeah, use my story. I want the world to know about this. And we get videos from veterinary doctors where they inject their own dog first. One was crying in the middle of the street. She
Oh,
goes, my dog has a problem when she pees, or he pees, because they have to lift the leg, couldn't lift the leg.
oh,
It was the first time we lift the legs. And the vet goes, I sat in the middle of the street basically crying because he was
oh,
able to pee by lifting his leg.
oh my
So
word.
we get these great stories and makes you feel good. So I think like Spencer and Mike, their thing is they feel this product will change and improve the quality of life for people and animals.
Yeah.
So I think with them, they want to help. I mean, Mike just sold this company for 6 billion. So
Uh-huh.
I don't think it needs to work.
Yeah, right. Oh, those are incredible testimonials too.
Yeah.
That's what, how about what do you see on the horizon? What are the opportunities that you're most excited about?
Well, we have a whole series of different products. So we announced a partnership with Orthobiologics, which is um, a clinical research group in sports medicine for humans and animals, and Dr. Sherman Knapp. So we did a news release, announced that they will be doing a series of studies for us in combination with other products to provide better efficacy and data. And some of those are his developments too. So we talked about joint commercialization of the stuff we're working. So you keep in mind we had 15 products on the human side. A lot of those can be brought in to the animal side and be very beneficial.
Oh, that's very good. How
Mm-hmm.
about, I mean, obviously the technology is attracting people. I'm sure your leadership over time has been an attraction too. How would you describe or talk about your leadership philosophy?
So I'm very good at understanding my strengths and weaknesses. So I don't get in the way when I know other people are smarter than me in certain areas.
Uh-huh.
I want to hear what they're saying because I have a pretty good understanding of the overall picture and what the reaction to the consumers are for certain things like branding the name and so on. Um, and I think I'm very open minded when employees tell me, hey, this may be a better idea. I don't have any ego issues and say, no, my way's the right way. I say, okay, let's see it. I'm very objective oriented base.
Uh-huh.
And I think they like that because they have an input, they see stuff being put in.
For sure, for sure. Any particular leadership lesson that you've learned over time that's proved most valuable for you?
No, it's every company you get with, you learn new things, new reasons why problems happen. A lot of the times it's management doesn't change with the times. They
Sure.
do things in a certain way. And I see that's a major problem that exists in the marketplace when you have older managers, because it's something that may have worked for them in the 90s and early 2000 doesn't work in 2025. And we kind of found that out in certain areas of marketing because it's really changed when you're talking about dogs, cats. It's their pets, it's their care. So social media has become such a more powerful
Mm,
tool, and 55% of the pet owners now are millennials or Gen Zs, and
okay.
they're the ones spending the money. So you got to understand, you got to use tools that are going to fit towards that.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
How about I'm just down the road from you here and in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis. Any trends you see around the country? I mean, are Minnesota people more interested in their animals and things? Are there certain different regions or any trends you
Oh,
see?
that's
I know you
totally
said,
universal.
yeah,
Everybody loves their pets. Come on, 63% of households own pets. Their
really,
pets are part of their
63.
family, so it really doesn't matter where you
Yeah,
live. They're gonna, you know, well, actually, I shouldn't say that because I know some people in the country that treats their pets a little differently than people in the city, but
yeah, that's
generally,
true.
we're talking on a global basis. Yeah.
Yeah. How about I don't know. I mean, like I just think of being in Minnesota and living in the cold climate. Are there more, I don't know, common issues with animals in the cold versus different weather areas or
Well,
kind of
yeah, I
anything
mean,
along
it's the
those lines?
common sense stuff. If it's
Yeah.
cold, you keep them in the house,
Yeah.
and if it's hot, don't leave them in the car. And make sure they have plenty of water if they're outside in the heat.
Yeah. No, for sure. How do you think about culture and building culture, core values within organizations?
So I think a lot of it is just that we allow these people to work, and long as their numbers are coming in and they're growing right, and they're also we're all going the same way and sharing the same messaging, and we use CRM software to make sure that occurs. So we're
Yeah.
able to see, identify what's working with certain categories of veterinary doctors because like a surgeon's going to look at it differently than a general practitioner.
Hmm.
So once you understand that, you're able to kind of tailor the approach and let them know, hey, this is what works for you. And then a lot of it is we developed a program to educate surgeons, rehab vets, specialty vets, pain management vets, how this product can work together with the other facets of recovery. So you get a much better outcome. Just because you have a surgery doesn't mean the surgery is going to be successful. A lot of it happens within the rehab stage and so on. So we're able to provide a full coursework on how to work together with the rehab vet to make sure it comes back properly and you don't have to do another surgery or the surgery is a failure.
Yeah. Oh, very good. How about any strategies that have proven most effective for like identifying and capitalizing on high growth opportunities for the business?
No, we know what needs to be done. It's a lot of it is just the studies coming through. We got a Colorado State University study that will be done at the end of this year. And it's done, but it doesn't get, you know, um, an abstract doesn't come out and then it gets published. So that process, believe it or not, can take a
Huh,
year to year and a half. But you
okay.
have the data. So once you have the data, vets will accept it, even though it's not published in a major journal yet, because COVID set that publication back
I'm
part
sure.
time, and it hasn't really caught up yet.
No, that makes sense. How about any other, I don't know, mention COVID, any other kind of broader economic trends or things happening in the market that are impacting business or are
Man,
animals immune
so
to that?
no, they're not. Actually, here's funny analysis where I was wrong. When COVID happened, I expected dogs to be much more leaner. because I thought people wouldn't have nothing to do but go outside and exercise. The exact opposite happened. They sat on their couch and the dog sat on the couch with them and watched TV. So there was a weight gain in people. That was a CDC study, but there was also weight gain in dogs
Really?
and animals because heavier weight means you're going to have likelihood of joint issues for both humans and animals. So we had a pickup in osteoarthritis dogs and cats, and but also I attribute that to better education. So there was two major innovations probably in the last 10 years, and both of them happened within the last couple of years. It was our product, and then the other product was a monoclonal antibody developed by Zoetis, Librela, and Solentia. So it's a single injection once a month, and that injection would block what we call nerve growth factor, NGF. So it blocks the signal to the brain that the dog's having pain.
Huh.
Well, that's good. Your dog's not going to feel pain, but think about the structural problem of the joint that caused the inflammation.
Right, right.
It's not doing anything for it. So the dog's going to run and jump, and in many situations, it will probably damage the cartilage quicker. And
Yeah.
that's where a combination or what we call multimodal approach, inject theirs and then follow ours along with it to provide the proper long-term joint function.
Okay.
So the difference is ours does get covered by pet insurance because it's a veterinary medical device.
Okay.
Theirs is user pay. So theirs is about $160 a month for the life of the animal. They got to bring it back to the vet, do the injection once a month.
Okay.
Ours is about $800 for the joint for 1 year. And if you have the pet insurance, most pet insurance will probably cover it.
Okay.
So Obamacare doesn't apply for pet insurance. So if there's a pre-existing condition, they won't cover it.
Okay.
Yeah. I know since somebody told me, well, mine didn't get covered. I go, why? They go, well, because it was a pre-existing. They did another osteoarthritis treatment. It's the same thing. I said, oh God, I never thought about Obamacare, not because Obamacare did away with pre-existing
Yeah,
conditions.
right.
Yeah, so I said, God, somebody's got to go out and get a dog, a bill together and say pre-existing conditions should be covered.
Oh, who would have thought of it?
I know. But the good thing is the insurance company did actually cover it after the fact. They came back and said, well, this is a different therapy, and we're getting this great results. And the insurance company was really cool about it and says, we'll cover it.
Oh, that's good. That's fantastic. That's very good. How about we talk a lot on this show about just free markets and capitalism and being in America. How is, kind of embracing the free market system and capitalism helped you, help the business?
Well, I'm a capital markets guy, so of
Right.
course I'm all for that,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it does matter which administration's in when you're dealing with the FDA.
Mm,
Yeah, because one likes to have more bureaucracy and more control, while the other one goes, we have our standards here. Let's not go overboard. So,
mhm.
so depending on which administration gets in, it's going to impact some of our stuff when we decide to go to the human side of the market.
Sure.
Yeah, because this is proving out extremely well. Like our CCL model will really work for ACL model for humans. Like our hip dysplasia model will probably work for hips and humans.
Uh-huh.
So we got to bring that back over there. And depending on which administration because they appoint their own FDA head,
Sure.
they'll set their own guidelines and rules, and generally Democrats put more rules in and Republicans have less.
Right. No, for sure. Is that part of the strategy for the business because you kind of started human, then went to animal, but is part of it to go back to human again?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because I see this product as really being beneficial for humankind as well as animal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, if you can reduce the number of hip surgeries, number of knee surgeries, that's a big win for our healthcare system, as well as the comfort and quality of life. So I had one doctor call me. He's an orthopedic surgeon. He goes, I've seen what this does for animals. it is so tempting to inject my mom because my mom's 82. There's no way she can have surgery because she's not
Right.
going to be in the rehab. I want to provide her comfort, but I know I can't do this. I said, I know. That's how the FDA works. I know. So he goes, well, if you need, when you're ready to go to the study, make sure our hospital gets as part of the study team,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, that's
So
huge. I
it's good
mean,
to hear
yeah,
all those great stories.
for sure. Yes, especially someone like that who's 80 and it doesn't make sense to do surgery, but like this
Yeah.
would be
Oh yeah,
life
because he
changing.
was clear. She said there's no way she can rehab back.
Yeah.
I want to give her comfort of life, no pain, and she can move, somewhat. And he just goes, I know there's no way, but if you guys are close to doing human trials, our hospital would definitely be interested in being part of the human trials.
No,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure. How about maybe one more question on just kind of free markets capitalism? Any particular misconceptions you've encountered around capitalism? And if so, how have you addressed those?
No, so I come from that background. So I do like I jumped in and filled in on CNBC 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah.
and it was about animal health, but I ended up talking about, the Federal Reserve and
Yeah.
its and the discount or the Fed funds rate isn't as important as M2 money supply growth because the balance sheet has more of a direct impact on the supply of money. And
For
that has a
sure.
direct impact on availability for small companies to raise capital. Because, and I also said the market's already telling you they're going to do a 50 basis point cut. The
Yeah.
bond market's already adjusted more than that.
Uh-huh.
And we got into housing. I talked about too many people are too excited about the housing market as rates are coming down on mortgages. They tend to
Uh-huh.
be sticky. Also, I don't see more than a 200 basis point drop, and 36% of homeowners don't have a mortgage because they already own it free, and about 80% of mortgage holders own it under 4%. Funds are, I mean, our high was probably 7.6, and it's already dropped down 100 basis points,
Yeah.
and it probably won't drop another 100. So those people are not going to refinance because there's been a lot of talk in the marketplace about the consumer coming back strong because of all that extra income. There really isn't. Unless the people that own their houses outright, the 36%, decide to say, hey, I can get a homeowner's credit line to do remodeling or to finance a hot tub or to finance a speedboat, or something
Sure.
like that. Then you're going to see the benefit, but that's a later effect because there's timing and stages when people feel better about their financial position because they're not feeling good right now. 80% of the people feel they're worse off, okay, than they
Mhm.
were before 4 years ago. And inflation has been the dramatic impact. Inflation is the one that really kills real income. I mean, we have had decline in real income about 3.9%.
Uh-huh.
So under the previous administration, it was the first time in 40 years that the lower 50% had real income gain. They had the
Right.
biggest gain of any category of income earners. And that never gets shown. Nobody
Right.
ever talks about that. But I track the IRS tables. I track from the Federal Reserve. I don't listen to anything because that's my background,
Yeah.
macro theory. I taught macro theory. So
Uh-huh.
this is this is my area.
Yeah. I mean, just the cost of food these last 4 years, it's unbelievable.
Oh, look at egg prices.
Yes.
It's back to $4 a
It's
dozen. I just was in
insanity.
the grocery store. I go, oh my God, we're having another wave. And right now we're getting lower fuel prices because of our strategic reserves have been drained, and they're pumping more because we're getting into the election.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so yeah, so it'll be good to. We're going to get a little bump in energy. Energy is a good buy right now
Yeah.
because it's probably right around $70 a barrel. We're going to have to refill that strategic reserve, and that will help boost prices going back up. So, obviously, I'm looking at ExxonMobil and companies like that. I own those
Uh-huh.
right now,
Right.
or Schlumberger, SLB. Well,
Yes.
I guess it's SLB now. In my old days, it used to be called Schlumberger. Like I was pounding the table on American Barrett, which is Barrett Gold now,
Uh-huh.
GOLD.
Right. Yes. Yes. How about I don't know, looking back, any particular decisions or actions that you've made that have, been super pivotal in your success?
God, there's a lot of
I'm
them.
sure.
No, I think if I just keep sticking to the basis that what I bet on is going to become the standard. And it
Mhm.
has in the past. I'm more right than wrong. And when I'm wrong, it's a timing issue.
Sure.
It's like the credit card thing. Everybody's paying at the pump. Technology just wasn't there yet. And that
Yeah.
happens. But I learned, and that was one of my earlier ones. So I haven't made that same mistake, which is good. We want to learn from our
Right.
deals. And but out of all of them, this one is the most exciting for me because we're doing good. We're seeing the results. Uh, you're seeing the faces of pet owners. I mean, they're crying in front of you and stuff like that. And I think that's the same feeling our employees get. That's why they come here because they see the results of the product.
Yeah, that's incredible. How about I mean, as you said, you've been able to kind of see some patterns and opportunities. Any advice you'd give to whether it's younger entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, people looking to get out of, traditional corporate and get more into the entrepreneur space? Any advice you'd
Yeah.
give there?
I'm actually a really bad person because I look at niche technologies, so
Yeah.
it's all or none.
Yeah, right.
but 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 basically, you know, if you want to do something you really like, really
Mm.
love, because it's not work, then you're going to drive and give 110% 24/7. Because I do this here 24/7. I'm on calls on a Sunday night.
Uh-huh.
I've been out on Lake Minnetonka doing calls, and my friends are going, "What are you doing?" so, I think that's more important than anything else is that you're doing something you really love and enjoy and believe in.
Yeah. Yeah. How about, I mean, you mentioned all the patents that you have. This may be a dumb question, but are you just kind of ticking through them one by one? Are you trying to take them in groups? I mean, how do you keep the momentum going without, maxing out or over stressing the system
No,
with all your patents?
so we have two families of patents, okay?
Okay.
Two base patents. Everything else you file around it, you keep the patent file open so you're able to maintain and extend the life of the patents
Okay.
as you make improvements either on manufacturing or the delivery mechanism or some other formulation you add to your base patent. So you got to remember John Dolan was a senior patent partner at Ferguson Byron, and
Right.
prior to that, he was a litigator at the United States Patent Office on biomaterials, the exact things
Huh?
what we make. So,
Yes.
so we have really good insight, and we have great scientific people. Dr. Jeremy Kaplan was ranked one of the top 10 superstars in biomaterials in the human side of the market. So he worked under Dr. Langer at MIT, who's considered the father of drug delivery and biomaterials from MIT. He has more patents and citations than any other person in history of the world, basically, Dr.
Huh.
Robert Langer. So he worked under him. And our developer of the technology, Dr. Masters, worked under Langer also. He was from Mayo Clinic and University of Minnesota. So
Okay.
yeah, and then Dr. Yabro with us, he was the chief surgeon of Dubai Equine for 17 years. So he
Huh.
handled the most expensive horses in the world and camels. When the royal
Huh.
family sends a jet for him, he goes. That's part of his. Yeah. So we got excellent people with the team. If you go through our 30 some employees, they're all very well accomplished and have done extremely well in this industry or on the human side.
Yeah. I mean, you've literally put together the dream team in this space.
Yep. Yep. It's like one person said to me, God, you got the deepest bench I ever seen, especially in a small cap company. We usually don't see a bench like this of companies over $1 billion. We won't see a team like this. But
Yeah.
we all share the same passion. We're doing stuff that are helping people and we're seeing the results, and we believe this will be the standard of care in the next 3 to 5 years.
That is so exciting.
Oh, one exciting article
Yes.
that was a that was a big support of what I believe. Dr. Tammy Grubb, professor at Washington State University, did a peer review article on our technology saying that spring should be looked at as first use. Because what
Hmm.
happens is anytime you launch a new product, vets, just like human doctors, they'll try their standard, everything through, nothing else works, then they use your product.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of vets that use our Spring, and the dog that was barely standing, you know, 10 days later is running up and down the stairs.
That's
So in their mind
unbelievable.
right away says, this is my go-to product when everything else fails. And
Right.
we had an equine practitioner that kept telling us how great our product is. And we're going, why isn't he using that many syringes? It's a big equine clinic. Well, Spencer called him up because he knew him, and he said, yeah, we just love your product. And he goes, how come you're only using so little? He goes, well, we don't have that many horses that are at the end stage and we have to wait to try. He goes, why aren't you using it as early stage product? And he goes,
Yes.
it never dawned on us because we've been doing it this way for 30 years. And that's the problem you have with human products as well as animal products, because the doctor is used to doing a thing certain way, it works for them, but now you got something that's better results. So it takes time for all that data research to get published and then get through the system. So Tammy Grubb basically also as an advisor to a competitive product. So when she wrote that, and she's also now the president of the International Academy of Veterinary Pain Management, largest veterinary organization for pain management for canines. So
Okay.
when she wrote that article, it kind
Huh.
of surprised us. And then also another surprise ruling comes from HISA, which is the Horse Integrity Safety Authority. They govern all racetracks in the United States
Okay.
that with thoroughbreds. So they issued an order that if a vet uses a hydrogel, we get classified in as a hydrogel, which is, they use synthetic lubricants and so on, that a racehorse getting that injected is prohibited from racing for 6 months from the date of the injection.
Really?
Yeah. And if a track vet on the track uses it, it's a $3,000 first time fine. Second one is a suspension.
Jeez.
But they named Spring with Osteo cushion technology is exempt from that rule, and
Oh,
that we're the only product that has the 2 week prohibition, the standard 2 weeks. Because anything you put in a racehorse, you can't race for 2 weeks. It doesn't matter what it is,
okay.
So we're the standard 2 weeks. So that came as a surprise, and then later on I found out why. So Dr. Tracy Turner, he was former head of large animal surgery at the University of Minnesota. Um, he's also now the president-elect of the American Association of Equine Practitioners, the largest equine practitioner organization in the United States.
Okay.
He becomes president December 1st, I think. And he is also at like the last 8 U.S. Olympics on the equestrian surgical team. So he's been using our product for a while, and apparently he testified to HISA and said, this is the only product I feel comfortable injecting, not having long-term ramifications and issues because it's natural. We're able to show it absorbs into the synovium, so it doesn't stay. Because if you think about synthetic polyacrylamines, they if they're injecting, basically they make contact lens out of polyacrylamide. So if you inject it into the joint, doesn't it believe that it will stay there? So
Right.
if you do it for a period of time, one would think it would create an issue.
Huh.
I don't know. I don't think there's any studies or anything saying that, but just intuitively, there's a movement to use natural products versus synthetic anyways.
Sure.
So I think we have a good tailwind. And given that it's in the manual this year for the veterinary doctors and the rules for the Horse Integrity Safety Authority,
Those
that's
are,
a good tailwind.
yeah, that's huge. Is there in veterinary, like so many other industries, is there a turnover kind of from baby boomers to millennials becoming the vets? And then is that an opportunity maybe that this is the standard of care right away?
Well, yeah, I believe it's going to be because of the fact. So coming up, there's a shortage of vets. Okay, and so the vet schools are a lot of new vet schools are opening up actually. So probably in 5 years there will be a surplus.
Okay. Yeah.
But coming out of vet school, there's tendency to be about close to 70% are female.
Okay.
And so
Interesting.
that's changing over quite a bit because it was predominant, mostly male back in 20, 30 years ago. So those
Yeah.
guys are starting to retire out. So a new generation's coming in. And I think the new generation of vets or more likely to be open to products that aren't pharmaceutical or biologic, because all those have side effects.
Yeah.
Ours is a naturally derived product, so we show that it has minimal side effect. And in our human trial, we were able to show that to the level where the FDA said you're a human medical device.
Huh.
That is a really hard
Yes.
designation when you're injecting something into the body where they says no, there is no chemical response to the body, so therefore the adverse events are almost non-existent. I mean, you never have zero, okay? Because some people getting a saline injection, they would have a reaction to it. So,
Right,
so it's
right.
never zero, but it's pretty low, okay?
Yeah. No,
To
that's
get that
fantastic.
designation. And that's why the animal health just says if you're able to do that on the human side, go ahead and just sell and market it. But it's hard to market it when you don't have the supporting data.
Right.
And that's where we're going. And we got 7 studies going. So in the next year to 18 months, those 7 studies should be done and out. So that will reinforce, so we're doing studies on elbows or shoulders
Huh.
and hips on top of the current pilot studies that we completed.
That's amazing. You do definitely have tons of tailwinds and momentum going. This is
Yeah.
incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. How about kind of thinking about legacy? How do you think about or focus on building like a lasting legacy through your business ventures, PetVivo being
Well, this is the one, that's the only one that I see really change the quality of life for people.
hmm
I mean, the others improve stuff, but it was more, it wasn't a major thing to, well, now it's major that you can download software. But back when we came out, it was AOL. 97% of the people could download because you got this dial tone. 20 minutes later, it booted you off.
Right. Yes.
So we needed to go DSL. So when that technology jumped out, it killed companies like Egghead Software and stuff that had a store.
Uh-huh.
So here, I don't think we're killing anything. We're adding to the standard of care, and we're helping reduce the costs of healthcare, which is something we all want. And hopefully, eventually, we can bring it to the human side where we're going to be benefiting the world, basically, at
Yeah,
the end of the day. So that's my drive. That's my love about this, is watching the reaction of people when their pets do extremely well.
absolutely. How about, and you may have partially answered it there, just what's your personal definition of success? Like, what does that mean to you personally, professionally, any way you want to take that?
Well, I want to get it to the company where I don't have to be here. Where it's going to be
Yeah.
just simple blocking and tackling. We're getting close. We're not there yet, but we're getting close.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of more talented people in running day-to-day operations. I'm more of a visionary, knowing how to get there.
Yeah.
I need the people to really do the day-to-day operation, making sure the trains are on the track. I could be charging way too fast. They're going to make sure I stay on the track.
I can relate. Absolutely.
Yep.
How about I don't know, any part, I mean, we'll share all the socials and Pet Vivo website and so forth in the notes here, but how can people follow you, follow Pet Vivo? How can they kind of get in touch and watch your story as it evolves here?
Yeah, the simplest is just go to our website,
Okay.
petvivo.com. Uh, we're a publicly traded company, so we're required to put out uh, anything related to the company on SEC filings. Also, we do news releases when we have events. Like we have 2 conferences this week, one in Seattle and one in Fort Worth, Texas. That's why
Okay.
we have teams throughout the United States. They got to
Uh-huh.
be in 2 places at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be in New York. I'm doing an interview on the New York Stock Exchange floor on PetVivo, and then I'm also doing one on the market. So
Okay.
so that'll be out there. And yeah, just follow the website, or if you're on Yahoo Finance, punch up our stock symbol, and
Uh-huh.
news releases show up there too.
No, that's great. Perfect. How about any party words here before we go?
No, I just want people to really understand there's a product out there that is unique and different that can help your pets. And I think when you see the social media stories and try to tell your vets about the product, because we only have so many salespeople. We can't call on every vet and so on. So
Uh-huh.
educate your vet.
No, that's very, very good. Well, good. Well, I think I am sure it goes without saying that our audience will share this with all their friends that are pet owners at 63% around the nation and growing. This is a must hear for anyone that has pets, because this is absolutely remarkable what you're doing. So, John Lai, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time and in sharing PetVivo with us. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thanks for having me on the show.
My pleasure.